If you can't make 10% on your money back every month, you're in the wrong relationship.
The only way to actually make that work is if you are very intentional about what happens in that gap.
When you are bleeding cash and you don't even know it yet, it means...
And the only reason we can do that is because we have a system.
I want to see a 300% return.
The way I do that is by providing value and engagement back to those leads.
You have a life vest that doesn't work.
But if I increase my conversion by 1%, 1.5%.
Something missing in your business if you can't measure that conversion.
Where I know in some of the businesses that we're working in right now, we're seeing...
I was like, what happens if I gave you 3,000 leads?
3,000 to 6,000 to 10,000 to 30,000.
This is where it's going. This is what's happening. There's no question about it.
I know like that is where most folks are with their CRM. They either don't have one, they're ignoring it, or...
If you're not doing it, you should be doing it. And we're talking about AI, right? Like,
oh, does it integrate with this? Does it integrate with Stripe, my merchant, my bank? As long as it does, it'll be good.
I'm throwing money at my business because I have hopes that my business is going to succeed.
Yeah, we didn't get the result we had hoped for, but we got data that tells us what we need to do next. And we made those tweaks. We did that a couple of times. It's like, oh, now it's working.
Wait, you can do that for restaurants? You can do that. You can do that for hospitality, like wineries and such?
Every business is just a pipeline.
How do you measure that?
There's three things that every business needs to do what we're talking about and have your life jacket and be able to grow sustainably and then be able to...
You're wasting money.
We installed one lead magnet. They started generating an extra 20, 30 leads a day. If you look at what that actually turned into revenue-wise for the business, millions of dollars.
Full of the pops today, man. We're just,
all of them. I'm just like
business.
giving free.
Who makes that hat? Like, what kind of shirt do you get? AirPods?
And the reason why is because...
It all boiled down to this one point. The last mile.
And this is why we started Growth Map, is this literal exact problem.
That's your golden, those are the golden words.
This is my ghosted guest. A lot of the stuff that we've talked about is like, okay, how do we grow business? I think along with that, we're looking at this AI tsunami of these things that really are, we're asking ourselves questions. In 6 months, am I even going to be able to compete anymore if I'm doing things the way that I do? And we know in business, the way that you stay competitive is by building a moat. So how do we approach growth and build a moat and protect at the same time? Be on the offense and defense?
I think that's a great question, but I'd ask, do you have the life jacket, right? Because if you get into the moat, your legs are going to give out just from trying to tread. And it could be thick water, stagnant water, stinky water, whatever. But the reason I ask about the life vest is because I think a lot of people, I just have platform fatigue. Like I just walked out of a conversation with a potential client. Whoa, we've got a CRM tool here. Is this one going to be redundant to what we're doing? And I'm like, there is so much more before that. And I think a lot of people are just getting platform fatigue or AI fatigue or automation fatigue. And they're just bombarded. And they're like, you know what? I'll just do analog. We'll go back to pen and paper. So does that, I mean, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does. And I think, you see it on all sides, but definitely as businesses that are selling experiences, goods and services, products to people, I think if you took a snapshot last year, 2025, and go, okay, let's look at the point of purchase, the point of sale, like when someone made a transaction, they booked a tasting, a reservation, an experience, they came in, they bought our product. And if you were to like wind the clock back to the day that they first like discovered you, right? That time, and if you did the exact same thing, let's say you went back even just a couple of years, 23, 22, 21, 2020, I would argue that window used to be a lot shorter. People would see an ad, they'd see a piece of social media, they would engage, and the time to buy would like there wouldn't be like a really big window. Where I know in some of the businesses that we're working in right now, we're seeing 8, 9 months from the point that somebody follows you on social, fills out a form on your website, requests some information to the point that they actually make a purchase. And I think the life jacket piece is really important because the only way to actually make that work is if you are very intentional about what happens in that gap. Because a couple things can happen. One, someone comes into your world and before they ever get to the point where they would make a purchase, they lose interest, get distracted, disengaged, you ghost them, they ghost you, and now you just don't even get to that opportunity.
That law of diminishing return works everywhere. It works in love. saying I love you. You know what I mean? You fall in love, you say I love you. It's how much you love your new job, and then you exit, right? And you gotta keep the buoyancy. And if you have too much fatigue in any of those one or two muscle groups, you're gonna get weighted down. And I think I just saw it really clearly today when I was looking at the team, the office, like the team in the office. And I was like, so, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, it's not really about what we do. It's like, what happens when this happens to you, right? So right now, this group is dealing with 1,000 leads a month, right? And that makes their phone rings a lot, and they have to do the phone calls and do all the consultations and whatever that is, that process. But I was like, what happens if I gave you 3,000 leads? Stuff starts to break. And I think those kind of elements right now are kind of like what's the most important in any business is to figure out what are the right tools, what's going to give you the highest rate of buoyancy so you can swim longer and then start being like, well, we want to conquer new beaches. We want to go to Thailand. We want to go to Dubai. I want to go swim the waters everywhere because I know I can do it, right? So it's just, I don't know. So that's what it makes me think is like, how is your business built to triple and quadruple those amount of leads that are coming in? And can your existing system handle that without feeling some pressure points?
Totally. Yeah. It's like, where's the breakdown? You always say, don't trust a skinny chef or an empty restaurant, right? You want to see it hopping because it implies that there's some quality, there's some demand. Hey, that's a place that I should go. But there comes a point where, when you have the crowd and you have the busy restaurant and the line starts to form out front, sometimes that can be attractive. They just opened In-N-Out for the first time here in Middle Tennessee. And that was like a big deal, especially because of how many Californians are here. So the first week, they had serious logistical planning. They had a full-on parking lot next to In-N-Out where people are lining up to wait for 4 hours. Now, that works for a season because it's exciting, but if 6 months from now there's a 4-hour line because there's a constraint, they don't have enough people or enough drive-through space, or they didn't plan and actually build enough In-N-Outs in the surrounding area, they're going to start losing market share, right?
Yeah. Competitors
going
start
to Five
popping
Guys.
up. Hey, they're busy, but I'm not driving 25 miles,
Exactly. And so it's like the same thing's true in our business, especially like when things are going really well and there's a plethora of riches, an abundance of leads. Like, oh, this is great, until you realize like, oh, if I am not extracting max value, which the way I do that is by providing value and engagement back to those leads, then there's a lot of opportunity cost, a lot of money that's just being left on the table with the attention that I've already paid so much time, energy, money, effort to capture, but now I'm wasting it.
And I think with that being said, people don't even know they're bleeding cash yet. Like you're just busy treading and you don't see how much money is just disappearing around you. It's like being in a pool that's empty of people, but truly there's 100 people around. You can't even see them. Because you're just panicking and swim, panic, swim, like I'm going to drown. And there's 100 people around you having a great time. And those are all your future customers. So when you are bleeding cash and you don't even know it yet, it means typically you're invested inside some kind of systems, right? And this is where that system fatigue. So it could be, paying monthly retainers for website, PR, social media. In our world, that digital footprint is a place where people are like just paddling and they're like, oh, the first rope they get from the lifeguard is an invoice for my PR company. And I'm like, oh, you saved my life. And actually after a certain time, that diminishing return is like, these guys aren't providing any value to me. And I think we won't grab that lifeline at the original thing if we ask the right questions. Do I trust this lifeguard? Is this the right lifeguard for my business? Are they really going to understand the tools and systems and where I want to go? Are they going to pull me to the right shore? Are they going to pull me to a shore where there's famine? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, so I think one of that first things is like understanding why you're bleeding cash. What's the system you're in? Are you a victim of what I call the endless monthly retainer cycle and syndrome? And Are all those leads and all that energy just going into a leaky bucket just to cause another day, just to pay another bill? And like, really, you spend money. And this was the one thing that was interesting to this like potential client today. I was like, how much are they charging? He goes, oh, about $5,000 a month. I'm like, okay, what are you getting out of it? He paused. And I'm like, dude, you could take that money and put it into the marketplace and get 10% on your money guaranteed if you just do a little bit of homework. Why are you just going to lose money with them? Because it's a stake to spend money? Like, if you can't make 10% on your money back every month, you're in the wrong relationship. You have a life vest that doesn't work.
Totally. Yeah. And like, I think having, so what do we need to have a life vest that works? One, we need a good strategy. We need a system. We need to know what numbers we can look at to go like, okay, if these numbers go up, that shows us the system is healthy, it's working, and we can continue to invest, right? I was sharing before we hit record today, just before we started this
We're
podcast.
Recording this? Is this being recorded? You have to announce that I live in Georgia.
Was on a call with a growth partner, a client of ours, that has what his system looks like is we run Facebook ads and Instagram ads to a workshop that he hosts live once a month. On that workshop, he does some teaching and some education, and then presents an offer to get access to his research and community. He shows people how to invest in startups before they IPO. So we built a system for him. What was the system? I was like, okay, well, Chris, if you're really good at speaking, one, we need to know how are we going to get people's attention? And we decided on, okay, we're going to use Instagram. Okay, great. We're going to use Instagram. A skill that you have. You're really good on video. Like let's capture some video. We'll put those ads out there. We'll get people then to register for this workshop. And the first one that we did went great. We had a bunch of people that registered. A few of them showed up, like a percentage of them, I think it was like 15, 20% showed up. We're like, oh, there's 80% that didn't show up. So next time around, we're like, okay, we know what to fix with the system. So then last month we fixed that. We got a lot more people showing up. And then we just got the report back from what sales looked like. It's like, oh, great. We didn't spend a ton of cash, but we spent like $3,000 on Facebook ads. And we ended up making $13,750 back. We're like, sweet. Now that gets paid out in kind of like tranches over the next 90 days. So it's like we have to know those metrics of like, okay, how much do we get right away so that we know we're not bleeding cash? Can we at least cover our ad spend with the sales from that event? And then know that, okay, great. We covered our ad spend. We're not in the hole. Next time we go around to do it, now we know, hey, we feel a lot more confident in doubling down. We'll increase that spend from $3,000 to $6,000 to $10,000 to $30,000, and we'll continually do that. And the only reason we can do that is because we have a system and we have clear numbers to know what parts of the system need to be working in order to turn that investment into capital. Because like you said, otherwise we might as well just put it into the markets and not go through all the heartache of building a system and being in business. But I think part of it, we do it because we love it. We're entrepreneurs, we're creators. But on the other side, we're going to be able to get a much better return than we would if we just invested in the market. Like by and far away, like, yeah,
100%.
You're going to get a better return.
That's your golden, those are the golden words. The golden words you just said, Gabe, that we will want to invest our money with you because we can do better with you and we trust you, or we would just put it in the market. I want to see a 300% return. And if you can't get me a 300% return or a 200% return or a 100% return, then we're not in the right business, right? And so, I think when we talk about this digital landscape, right, and I'm going to kind of jump back into, what we are very in tune with and very sensitive to, what catches your attention? If a 1% lift in conversion could mean $30,000 new revenue to you, or $100,000 new revenue, or $1 million new revenue to you, right? 1% lift in conversion. Is that a game changer for you? Now, do you know how to measure 1% conversion? If you don't, you should probably figure that out.
Totally. Because for most businesses, you could take that 1%, or it could even be 10 or 20%. You could say, if I got 10% more leads or 10% more attention, how much more money am I going to make? And that's the interesting thing. Like when you and I do the math and we look at some of these businesses and we look at our own businesses, it seems like on paper, you go, oh, like, yeah, if I doubled my lead flow, I would make so much more money. But then you go and you look at something like ascension, meaning existing clients that we could increase their value and sell more to them, or retention, or an increase at the conversion point, like we already have their attention, and it might be 1 or 2%, and you're like, oh my gosh, like that would mean an extra, like significantly more than even if I doubled my leads. It's gonna take a lot more effort and energy and money to double my leads, but if I increase my conversion by 1%, 1.5%, another client was talking with just this last week, we identified that his churn is, people that churn out that stop being clients. If he changed it by like 2%, it would add an extra $10,000 of recurring to his business every single month. And then that stacks. So that means by the end of the first year, he would add an extra $120,000 in recurring revenue to his business. So multiply that by 12, that's what, $1.5 million a year? So $1.5 million in cash collected, not like receivables, maybe like money on the balance sheet, like $1.5 million cash collected by getting 1.5% better on retention, on making sure that he's keeping the clients that he's already acquired.
100%. And I think the systematic flaw that we're talking about here is that there's something missing in your business if you can't measure that conversion, right? Let's make it simple. That I call it the 4 horsemen. 1, you've got social media. You've got your website. You've got some kind of traffic system. You're paying for ads. Maybe you're paying a PR team. You're doing a ton of events, word of mouth, whatever that traffic system is. These are your 3 main pillars. I call them the horsemen. And then you're measuring with a CRM tool, right? And I think the big system flaw here is that those other 3 pillars are always attached to monthly retainers or some kind of service vendor, and they just forget to tell you, hey, if you want to measure my work and to see what's working so you can put money on the best horse, get a CRM tool. The reason they don't offer that information is the system flaw. They're afraid that they won't be able to stand up to the results that they're going to see, and they're going to find a new vendor. And I think that has been part of the systematic flaw that I've just, like, once it gets to me, my heart and my blood just starts to boil, because I could do better with my money in the marketplace at 10%. But I'm paying these people, and I hope that they're going to do good, and I hope they're going to give me some conversion, they're going to give me some reports at the end of the month that make me feel warm and cozy that my money is well spent.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, how do you, everybody, I was talking to the potential client today. I said, this office and everything you have around you, this is great. But what this is your pre-digital layer. This is your brand, your authority, all of your plaques of all your accomplishments and all the schools you paid for education. So you could fix this one thing on my body, right? He's a doctor. Mm-hmm. And but when you decide to go outside and do some digital stuff, websites usually first, then you got your Instagram and social channels and Facebook and all the tools that just freak you out and make you just spend more and more and more. And now you're at the point like you have CRM fatigue. Like, how many CRMs do I need? Like, literally, how many do I need? I'm like, one forever. And if you move from that one, it's like moving your house, right? Yeah. You move your beds, your clothes, your furniture, everything. And it has to be so much worth the beneficial value. A CRM is not a cheap date. It is the one thing that holds, like, if you look at the 4 horsemen, right arm, website, left arm, social, legs, PRs, traffic, all the stuff that I'm doing. My torso is a CRM, right? And your brain is your team, your brand, what you're doing. Like, it kind of controls all the things. But if you don't have a torso, you got crazy limbs,
Remember, I think what was his name? Crane, in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was just like the brain that was in like the robot. You're basically Krang. Krang. I forget what his name was. Crane,
It had to be Crane.
Oh man, you're like cranium. You're walking around with that, and you know it's you talk about because sometimes it can feel daunting or overwhelming to like make that move. A lot of people are operating without one, or they have one, but it's not doing the thing. I'll tell you, like this was my experience with, and sorry to name names, but QuickBooks Online. I thought QuickBooks Online was going to be my favorite. Like when I started my first business, it was desktop QuickBooks, and I had a bookkeeper and an accountant, and they would just like handle all my stuff. Then we got this promise of QuickBooks Online, which is similar to like, hey, this CRM tool is going to save everything, and it's going to have these integrations. And the questions I initially asked when going on to QuickBooks Online was like, oh, does it integrate with this? Does it integrate with Stripe, my merchant, my bank? As long as it does, it'll be good. And dude, I'm not lying when I tell you, probably the last 2 years, anytime I saw an ad, if I'm watching like a sports game or something like that, and there's a lot of Intuit TurboTax ads. Anytime tax anything, I would get this pit in my stomach because I would just know I've got this problem that my data's a mess. My financials, accounting, I'm like, I've got a good CPA, they go through the stuff, but I just like, I don't trust it, and I feel like I'm spending more than I should. I don't have a good view on this stuff, right? So eventually I go like, well, I know like the tool is not going to save me, the process is, but I found this other platform that was actually built with like AI in mind. Was it like QuickBooks feels like Salesforce, like the old school CRM, if it's trying to like keep up with the young kids, and we're just gonna like, hey, yeah, we're gonna add in our AI or our way of doing automation. Like that's what QuickBooks felt like. Like Salesforce trying to keep up with the modern CRMs of today. And I switched to this other platform, and I'm not lying when I tell you, like, it's actually fun. I love logging into this thing. I was able to get the house cleaned up in like less than a week, something that has been causing me pain and heartache for years, knowing that I was leaving money on the table. And I share that because I know like that is where most folks are with their CRM. They either don't have one, they're ignoring it, or it doesn't have to be that way. And just kind of like my experience with moving our accounting software, you know, sometimes that move is required. There's a nice thing about
what's the new program? Now you got me hooked.
Digits.com. Dude, you have
like
you have to check out digits.com. I'm not an affiliate. This is not a paid endorsement.
All right.
I freaking love it. I've already referred a couple people over to it that have switched and said the same thing. And what's great about it is, you know, sometimes moving is nice because it gives you a reset, because you have to take everything out of the garage, because you have to decide what are we going to keep, what are we not going to take, what is important to us. And so sometimes taking a look at a system like that and going, nope, it's time to move off of QuickBooks Online, or it's time to move off of how we have been doing things with our CRM, with engagement. It forces you to go through that process of going like, all right, like, let's see what mess is in the garage, and what, like, most of this stuff we can probably just throw to the dump. Let's keep the few things that we need. And when we move in the next time to the new place, let's not find ourselves here again. How do we want to set this up so that we actually enjoy it? Like
digital hoarding.
Game changer.
Digital
100%.
hoarders. That's what QuickBook owners are. I feel like a digital hoarder.
Yeah.
If I look at my QuickBooks, I'm afraid to move because there's so much data there and it's so messy, and I just have a fear that if I change something and it breaks, then I'm going to have more pain and more suffering.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, here's an interesting component. So I'm part of a Dan Martell coaching mastermind, right? We're in there yesterday having a discussion and talking about what's the 3-tier system of AI. And if chat is at the bottom, you know, ChatGPT, then the next level up is automation. Mm-hmm. And the next level up is agentic or agents, right? So you kind of like, that's the step and what tools you use in that system. And it all boiled down to this one point, the last mile. Have you heard this term yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we felt with QuickBooks or with CRMs or with whatever, like we get fatigued because we get to the first 90% and we get it to work, but it never really feels like the last mile is ever done. And when I think about automation right now and where it's going, when automation and tech and AI can come in and basically take your energy and then amplify it to get you the exact results and make it fun for you on that last mile, that's what everybody is trying to solve right now. And if you don't understand what this means, you need to get in the fucking game. It's time to like change your life, because this last mile and everything that we've been doing when it comes to digital product fatigue, switching and pivoting and like going to new tools and systems, it's all based on that same feeling, the law of diminishing return. And when you find the thing that works for you, guess where you take that extra time? You put it in the things you love, your family, your friends, your kids, being in there, showing up, being present. And that is why working with people who understand AI and they understand your business, that's the big fusion tool right now. I can listen to your problems and I can suggest not bullshit AI tools, but things that are actually, everyone's trying to sell me AI automations on this and that and the other. They just want money and they just want to build something because it's fun. Hey, pay me to go play in my sandbox again. First time since 1995 that people are like actually, like, you feel like, I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like, I feel like I'm a little bit behind. Like, people are so much more smart than I am. Me, I'm thinking this. And I don't like what you, like, how do you feel?
Yeah, no, I think there's, I remember it had to have been March, April 2020.
Oh, we get one of these stories.
I'll never forget the feeling that I had at that point. We were a couple months into COVID. I saw what was happening in the global economy, and I immediately got this like anxiety because, I'm, how old am I now? 44, 45, whatever. Born in 81. And I remember.
Hey, audience, could you guys do the math? He was born in 1981. Keep your calculators out. There's more quizzes.
This is critical. I'm somewhere
How many
around there.
popcorn kernels in a popcorn bag?
But I specifically, like, I remember the dot-com boom. I was, high school, early college in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then I remember the housing crisis in 2009. And during that time frame, I remember watching buddies of mine who like crushed it in housing and finance. I remember watching the stories. I literally was one of the first people on Twitter and watching that platform blow up. So I saw all of this happen, and I knew the catalyst for it was actually recession. There was a recession that was happening that caused people to innovate. It shook things up. And then, if we could get our DeLorean, go back in time and put stock into, Tesla, Amazon, like we'd all do it, right? Because, hindsight's 2020, we know how the story panned out. So I remember, March 2020, having this pit going like, oh my gosh, it's happening again. But I didn't feel ready. Like you were asking, like, do you feel people are ahead of you? And I remember I called a buddy of mine who's been an entrepreneur, has been in tech for a long time. He's like, you're going to be good. He's like, Gabriel, like, you're going to be fine. Like your job is like two things. He's like, pray, step forward. Like, you just have to trust and then start taking steps in action. And then that's been the last 5 years, and it's gone phenomenally. And so what I do now, I'm in a very different spot than I think I would have been 5 years ago, or I know I was 5 years ago, where I am very aware there are plenty of categories that other people are running way faster than me and learning more about. And I'm okay with that because I've gotten really clear on the most important question that I could answer, or at least I feel I could answer in business, which is, what is the problem I'm trying to solve? And when I get really clear on that, knowing like, okay, here's like the most important problem for me to solve, that sometimes means me getting like up to speed on how do I work with agents? How do we build this tech out? Or maybe it's VO3 and using AI for video. Maybe it's accounting software. Like, doesn't matter what it is. But then I can go pull the strategies and the things to understand, like, where do I need to like keep my skill set up? And what are the things that I'm okay like ignoring so that I can get really good at the things that are going to matter for me and my world and the people that I work with and that I serve. Doesn't mean that there aren't times where I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm kind of a little bit behind the eight ball on this other, like someone will bring up a new platform. Like when Nano Bananas started kind of like being the latest, like trendy thing. I didn't go all in on Nano Banana. Like that's okay. Like everyone else will kind of like figure that piece out. I'm really like honed in on these agents that are able to take leads and turn them into booked appointments. And that's the thing that's going to serve my clients better, and it's going to serve me and my business better. So let me innovate on that while everyone is off on this new trend and fad, because I know like they're going to have to play catch up to me because I've gone deep on the things that matter rather than trying to be spread out on everything that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good answer, and it's a lot of insight. I think I've been asking people this question because it's interesting to me, right? And I think what I have heard from others is that it's not late. Like, you are way ahead of the curve. Like, it's like being ahead of the curve with the internet, because this is where it's going. This is what's happening. There's no question about it. It is. And so if you know more than 5 people in the room, you're an expert. And that's the takeaway from it that I'm pulling into, is that if you're not doing it, you should be doing it. And we're talking about AI, right? Like, are you in the chat level? Are you using it for spell check and emails? That's like what 5th graders are doing right now, 6th graders, right? And if you're an adult doing it, I'm sorry, but just pick up the speed a little bit. Start figuring out what it can really do. Ask it what it can do for you. What type of time, energy usage is it going to borrow from you to save your time and energy so you can redeposit it where you want to spend most of your time, which is with loved ones and family and kids and games and being present, doing all that shit, right? So, I mean, for me, profound difference in my lifestyle. Like, I used to not really love. There's certain things that it's clearly determined what I love about my job and what I don't like about what I do. Right? And the things that I like to do, I'm allowed to amplify my time usage there and make more revenue. The stuff that sucks, it's telling me quit stressing about it. It's not necessary, right?
Right.
So, and here's what you can do to just truncate that bleeding. And I agree. Like, I would love to know more about how to take leads and use your innovation and your skill set to basically turn leads coming in out of my investment and to maximize them into something that I can't get in the marketplace with my same money, because I don't want to just throw my money in my business for a tax write-off. I'm throwing money at my business because I have hopes that my business is going to succeed. It's going to grow and scale. And if you don't see that measured every week, every month, and the people that are working or being paid by you are excited to show you results, you're in the wrong fucking room. And it's time to change the room. And I think one example today, we've talked about what is that blueprint, right? And it's so in my brain right now, like, what is the blueprint to figure out if you're in the wrong room or the right room, and if the right people are trying to sell you the right thing at the right time for your business because you know it's the right thing. And we were talking earlier about that pre-digital DNA footed foundation, right? So the next layer, which is the 4 horsemen, like, master that layer. Get them making you money. If you're spending $12,000 a month on your website, PR, social media, and some ads, make sure it's paying you back 15 grand. And until it is, do not move forward. And if you don't have a measuring tool, you're missing the horseman, right? And that's horseman is the next entry key. That's the unlock to
that's exactly why we were able to do what we did with Chris's business. We had a hypothesis on a strategy that might work, and we put some money into the market. We didn't choose PR, we chose Instagram ads and Facebook ads. But like, because we knew what the numbers needed to be, and we knew what to measure. We have a dashboard where we're measuring it, and
you're measuring
first swing of the bat, and we're going, okay, well, we paid for that data. We didn't get the result we had hoped for, but we got data that tells us what we need to do next. And we made those tweaks. And we did that a couple of times. And it's like, oh, now it's working.
Wait, you can do that for restaurants?
Double down.
You can do that for hospitality, like wineries and such?
Yep.
100%. Hospitals, doctors? dentist. Oh my gosh.
Author, speaker,
so
like you name it.
coaches.
It's the same thing. Cause like, and the reason why is because every business is just a pipeline. Like I want you to think, like if you're watching this, listening to this, I want you to think of your business and whatever it is, whatever the goods or services or products that you sell, and maybe you actually do have a manufacturing plant, but I want you to think of it like a pipeline. And if we can figure out like, what are the steps along that assembly line that take someone from stranger, has no idea who you and your brand are, to client that pays you money for your thing? There are some steps along the way, and all you have to do is get really clear on what those steps are. And sometimes we gloss over it because we're in our business and it's so obvious to us. It's like, oh yeah, like I meet people at events, I get referrals, and then that's it. But we're not measuring it.
I want to add a layer of clarity to that.
Yeah.
You're talking about one pipeline, right? The things that create somebody who you just met to someone who pays you, okay? There's the things in there that make up the substance of your business, the molecules of the water, let's say, right? Water is made of something, and understanding exactly what's in the water. The next pipeline, so let's call it the red pipe, like cold and red, hot and cold water. That's the red, right? That's your operations pipeline from start to payment. The next one is the cold pipeline, or what I would call the blue line. And the blue line just says, for the process to start, this is just a timeline. From the moment you meet them to the moment they pay you, on average, your pipeline is 6 months, 3 months. So just think in the back of your mind how long it takes for you to meet someone and then them to pay you. That is the blue line. The red line is everything that you just outlined, which is what is in the water, what makes up my business. They're both sitting on the same, they both go to your sink, right? They both come from somewhere in the well. There's an origin, but I'm just keeping in mind, like, because I've talked to my wife about how long does it take for you to meet someone and then they pay you? Well, I've got 15 people in my pipeline. Okay, so how long does it take for you to build that relationship to get paid? Well, I got to meet them, and I got to work with them, and then they've got to pay me, and then I bill on a 30-month cycle, and sometimes they're late 10 days. So I'm like, how long does it take you to get them from the moment they meet you? She's like, well, it takes probably about 30 or 40 days. So I'm like, your pipeline is 90 days long.
Yep.
If they pay on time. Oh, I don't know about that. No, that's what it is. Okay.
You go in and you actually look at it. One of,
and that's just the blue line. That's just understanding the blue line, right? The red line is a totally like more complicated. You want to make sure that thing's tight. You don't want any leaks.
Yeah, this was maybe a couple years ago now.
The leaks slow down the bottom line. You know what I mean? The blue line.
Yeah, they do. If you have leaks, or if you want to increase velocity, I call it sales velocity, where if people are going, if it's 90 days, what can we do? What can we do to increase sales velocity? Can we get it from 90 days to 60, from 60 to 30? Like, can we get them moving through faster? And what's interesting is a buddy of mine was I was touring his offices a couple of years ago here in Nashville, and he showed me their team Slack, and on one of the pages in one of the channels in their team Slack, it's really cool. Anytime somebody bought like their higher ticket thing, anything that was $10,000 or more, they would have a VA that would manually go into their CRM and look for a couple of things. When did this lead first come into this system, and through what mechanism? Was it like a freebie? Did they buy some like low ticket thing? Like what was that? What was the date they bought the high ticket thing, and what was the thing that they bought? That's all that it was. But it was really helpful because literally they're making dozens of sales a day. And so every day they're looking and they're seeing what is that timeline. They'd be like, oh, here's this batch of people that bought this thing 3 months ago, and then they bought our $10,000 thing. And then you're starting to see that, like, what is the, oh, we've got all these, like, most of people are like 6 months or more, 8 months or more. And I tell you that timeline is getting longer for most businesses. It's not getting shorter, and it's definitely not getting shorter if you're not measuring it and you don't have a system to actually look at that stuff.
Well, you just walked right into my trap, my friend, because we were talking about the pre-digital foundation, which is your business, your vision, your identity, your brand, right? And then you got your 4 horsemen layer. That's your website, your digital concierge is made up of website, Instagram, paid ads, word of mouth, everything that you're invested in, social media and PR, all those three horsemen, right?
Yep.
But if you're missing that fourth horseman, which is a CRM tool, then you can never get to that next level, which is the acquisition system, which you just explained is the measuring tool, right? And when you see all of that stuff measuring and you get to see what works, that's where the magic, that's where you pitch your tent. That's when you build the house. And what we do, like for in our business, and I know that we're part of about 1 million people doing this right now, is that we use sell by chat. We use social selling systems to accomplish our goals, right?
Yep.
Because what it does, it allows our operational pipeline and our actual cash to close, lead to close pipeline. Once we get our operations pipeline tuned in, the other pipeline speeds up. And we can figure out how to close that gap from 90 days to 60 days on cash collected, or 60 days to 30 days in cash collected. And that's why people buy companies, because they see them just starting to figure out this acquisition system. And they see, wow, I could just go in and make a couple tweaks to their operational layer or their operational pipeline, and I could turn cash on just like that, because they don't see it themselves. And when you talk about people trying to get into creating enterprise value, they're either looking to buy you, acquire you, or buy you and sell you because you're not doing the job yourself. And the first thing that's people are going to change when they come buy your business is probably you. And, you know, sadly, when I exited my company, it wasn't the situation, you know, but that's what we were talking today, like with this potential client. He just said, man, he's like, so they want me to do radio ads. And I'm like, how much is that? He's like $20,000 to $30,000 a month. I'm like, and where does all that go?
And how will you know if it's working? Yeah.
But he's just willing to spend that because he's like, well, if I get 3 clients, that pays it off.
So the question is, then, how does the radio traffic turn into 3 clients? So we're like, that's where the system piece is important.
The system flaw that you just said is, why am I working for the radio company?
Yeah.
I can't tell him that. Like, why am I working for you, the radio company? If, it only takes 3 to 4 clients to pay that off. No, I should be getting 12 to 15 clients. Yeah. Like, they're coming to me to say, hey, here's how you get 12 to 15 clients so you can pay off your investment to us. That's the way that things should work. And if they don't say that, they're not invested in you as a business. They're just hiring you as a new worker for them. Like, hey, Gabe, why don't you go work for 17 hours and do a few surgeries for me? And at the end of the day, thank you. You're the best worker that we have. You're the worker who pays us to work.
It pays us to work.
Hey, by the way, did you make any money this month? No, but we still owe you. Oh, don't worry.
I should start charging my team to work for me. I should start charging my team to work for me. They're lucky to be here.
That's the next podcast show. I'll let go of my whole model on how to get people to pay you to work. But that's the scaling layer, right? So like, let's say you pitch your tent, you make your house the really pretty house, and you get this whole social selling system, and you get your leads to close a lot faster, and you're measuring everything. Then you basically say like, wow, here's the 3 or 4 things that are working really well. Let's throw some money on that. Let's do some paid ads to amplify these things that are working. So our system, our lights, our energy gets cheaper. Our efficiencies get better, right? So you reinvest. And then that's a mastery level. And then the next level, he was like, what about SEO? I was like, well, how much are you paying for SEO? And it's $5,000 a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you measure that?
I know how you measure that. How does he measure that?
That's why he asked me. So I'm asking you how you measure it. I'll tell you my response after you show me yours. I'll show you mine.
Sure. So with SEO specifically, we look at that's part of the traffic system. So again, there's 3 things that every business needs to do what we're talking about and have your life jacket and be able to grow sustainably, and then be able to strategically and on purpose invest money into things like radio, PR, SEO, you name it. There's 3 things that you need. Thing 1, you have to be clear on your pipeline. What are the steps? So like Heather needs to know, okay, what are the steps someone goes in from stranger to becoming a client? They pay me to make a beautiful website. Then they need, number 2, you need measurements. You need things that you measure at least on a weekly basis that tell you the health of that pipeline. So Heather would need a number to go like, okay, if normally it takes 90 days for someone to meet me and become a paying client, and I've got 15 people in my pipeline, what's the number that tells me that there's like stagnant money in the pipeline that I could be probably getting someone into a deal in a project faster, right? So you need the pipeline, you need the measurements. And then the last piece, we talk about this a lot. We use the word system, but all the system is the thing that moves people through the pipeline. So SEO is part of the traffic system. Our body is made up of a bunch of different systems. They all work together. Your acquisition system is the same thing. So traffic system has one job. That's to capture attention from the market. Make sure you're in front of get eyeballs. Are you in front of the right people? And can you get their attention? We've heard of marketing hooks. Can I go viral? Can I get their attention? SEO is at the top of that, because as SEO, search engine optimization, someone goes into ChatGPT, they go to Google, they search something, best sushi in Boca Raton. Great. You want to show up at the top. The question now is, how do you measure that? How do I know if I'm putting money into the traffic system and using SEO as the strategy? That's part of my system. How do I know if that's a good investment or not? Well, there's a couple things that we look at when we do SEO. The first is, how many of your like target keywords are in the top 3 on Google? Because we know that's where all the clicks go. So let's say, for example, give me a client example.
No, I mean, I guess I get how SEO works. I'm just wondering, like, how do you know if you're getting paid back on your investment? Like, what's the measurement? Like, how much, if I give you 5, like, what's the return? Like, what do I expect?
Money, keywords, and total clicks per month. So the total clicks is like the output of SEO, but it's not SEO's responsibility to make you revenue. That's where the other pieces of the system come into play, and you have to know how they work together. Because my business partner, and this is why we started Growth Map, is this literal exact problem. He would have people that would come to him for years and years that would pay him money. He'd put money into SEO. They would see revenue go up. They'd be stoked. They stayed with him forever. He'd have other clients that would come in, they would put money into SEO, 6-9 months later, they see traffic go up, revenue does not go up. They're like, what the heck, why am I paying SEO? They'd cancel and leave, go to a different firm, and they would repeat the same cycle over and over and over. The reason it was not SEO, the reason is the acquisition system, because once they had someone's attention, one, they don't have a compelling reason for that person to actually jump into your CRM, to fill out a form, to request information, to download a lead map. They didn't do that. Or two, once they do have the lead, they don't have a good sales system.
And this is low hanging. This is low hanging fruit. Like, this is just systems, right? This is back to the acquisition.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, all right, let me just
software company that I worked with had $130,000 a year of leads that they would have to go pay Facebook to generate these leads that was flowing past to their website every single day, every single month, that they just were not capturing. They had the SEO. They didn't have the lead gen and the nurture system in place. We installed one lead magnet. They started generating an extra 20, 30 leads a day. That was worth $130,000 a year in ad spend. And then if you look at that's actually worth, that's just what it would have cost them to advertise. If you look at what that actually turned into revenue-wise for the business, millions of dollars.
Let's cut that up and put that onto social media reel so we can use that. Okay, back to our regular programming. So what you're saying is, when you hit that long-term opportunity, I think SEO is long-term. It's long-term growth. Like, you're making a good call, but that's like putting your money in a bonds, and the money that you invest there, if you do not have a well-built acquisition system, like a CRM tool, is it a good investment or wasted? Absolutely wasted. And it's hard to say that to somebody who who just did surgery on you, or someone who is a friend in business, but they're like, well, what do you think about SEO? We need it. And I'm like, how much are you going to spend for it? $500 a month? Where does it go? Well, number one, if you want to play the game. But
totally,
you got to spend $4, $5, $6, $7 a month to get the real game done. Otherwise, you're just wasting money for what you think is something. You may get like a little hit here and there, unless somebody is like a ninja. But I guess the end all be all is, do not invest in SEO unless you have a humming acquisition system that knows how to process and
or you
convert
know what
all
it
that
needs to
energy
look like.
into leads, you know?
Yeah. If you have a clear blueprint of what because SEO specifically does take some time to ramp up. So if you're looking 6, 9 months, 12 months down the line, going, no, we're committed to building the system. Maybe we don't have it right now. We have a semblance of it. Then yeah, in that case, it might be a good idea to start SEO right away because it's going to take 6, 9 months, 12 months to actually get any sort of traction anyway. You just have to know that during that time frame, like that investment's, again, we're not using revenue to measure health of that. We have to use money, keywords, and clicks, and then we have to be committed to do the work to actually build the system that will turn that into revenue. And then we can flip it over, 12 months down the road.
And you better
be committed.
And I'm thinking you better be very, very clear in a pre-revenue environment that you need SEO. Because if you aren't making money and you basically go pre-revenue into your digital concierge, and then you start spending money on ads, and you don't have a CRM tool, and no one who knows how the CRM tool works, like a person on a team who knows how to build a website, someone who knows how to manage a CRM and give you measurements, you're wasting money. And if you don't know what you're doing with that cash, and then they start to say, we need SEO, you're basically pulling money out of profits to pay for something that is not going to benefit the business in the long term. So what I'm saying in pre-revenue is that if you are going to do SEO, that you have to have a plan for acquisition system. You have to have your 4 horsemen lined up, teed up, and ready to do acquisition system. And then understand how you're going to take what you learned there and do paid ads. And then from there and scale it. And then that money you have there can help do the long-term growth because you know what's working, you know who to hit. But if you go out of order, you're going to break something and you're going to pull money right out of profits every single day. And that's why I think in the hospitality industry, it's so interesting because all my friends and buddies are like, I'm operating at 3% margins or, I'm 6%. They're paying for things they don't need. They have lights on in rooms that don't even serve a guest. You have to stop that.
Yep. Yeah. And that's why I would never suggest SEO for someone who is pre-revenue unless you're venture backed or you've got a high level of certainty like this is going to be your traffic channel. Who it's great for, companies like Montage, Laguna Beach. They've been in business for a long time. They're not going anywhere. You want to soak up market share. AG1, Athletic Greens. They've proven their concept. They've validated their offer in the marketplace. Hey, now we're going to double down. A company local here, Groove Life. They make these silicone rings, right? Or Ultra Human, who makes the tracker ring. Great. Once you're in there,
you're full of the pops today, man. You're just everybody's.
I'm
just
giving free.
Who makes that hat? What kind of shirt do you? Are those the new AirPods? Man, I like that microphone.
Lululemon, Shure SMB 7. You got Stream Deck by Elgato. I'm just all the free sponsorships today. Hit us up, hey, if you want to do a deal.
So I want to get back real quick to we've alluded to the system, right? And everybody knows that at the core of the system, there is, what we call a central nervous system, right? The CNS. So there's CRM and there's CNS, and the central nervous system is what really is kind of the beat. And for us, that's the social selling system. And I just want to be really clear so people understand this because you've been listening all, to us. And I want to if you can get that engine room and you can get traffic, turning that traffic into cold cash collected, that's the goal, right? And right now, the social selling systems specifically
it's the fastest way to do it. Conversations, fastest
sell
way.
by chat, man. 80% open rate in DMs. There's no other system out there doing that right now. Emails are horrible. It's like the snail mail, and you're not getting through on that. So if you think about that central nervous system is your sell by chat machine and how you get that going, I'm going to leave with one nugget. That here's the one very simple thing that you're leaving on the table every single day, and this can turn your business around if you put the reps in, you put one person on your team, and it doesn't have to be the highest paid person. One person. Hire someone to do this 40 hours a week. It's called How to Take People from Ghosted to Superfan. And it's very simple. Just make sure when anyone likes you, hearts you, comments, that you follow Instagram's algorithm, and it's there to make you more money, right? They want to make more money. They want you to make more money. They actually get what's going on. And all you need to do, it takes 15 seconds per comment or new follower. Just go to their profile, look at what their profile says. Who are they? What's their business? They take time to write a thoughtful, my name is Brady, happy family dad of 5. I love this. I do that. Here's my thing. Here's my business. Look at the first 6 photos. Oh my gosh, this guy likes to travel. Give a really nice compliment. Takes 15 seconds. Hey, Brady, man, looks like you like to travel. Man, got a good family. Hey, thanks for following us. Really, really appreciate you taking the time to check us out. Keep shining. Thank you. Oh my God, game changer. Do that on every single person and go backwards. If you have 5,000 followers, you know how long it's going to take. If you have 20,000 followers, that's how long it's going to take. If you have 60,000, go all the way back to the beginning of time to people who have been following you and pay them those compliments for following along because your dumbass hasn't. And I am the guy who didn't do it either, and I'm paying up for it in lost cause, and I'm telling you, it changes the game. And if you want to go from ghosted to fan, start there. Make sure that's one thing. And if you want to get into that central nervous system and you want to start doing sell by chat, that is your golden ticket to warming up people faster to get them through that cash pipeline to working with you, spending money with you, investing their cash with you. Because right now we know it's hard to pull cash out of your pocket to give it to someone else that you do not trust. Amen.
Boom. Amen. I think that's the pod.
That's the pod.